Grandpa Ned had survived 2 wars, a heart attack, and 63 years of marriage to the stubbornest woman in Tennessee. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for the pink envelope his daughter handed him on a Tuesday morning. "Don't open it until I leave," Sarah said, her voice tight as piano wire. He watched her walk to her car, noticed how she didn't look back. The envelope sat on his kitchen table like a live grenade. His coffee went cold while he stared at it, his weathered hands trembling slightly as he finally tore it open. 30 RESONS, I disown you. The words hit him like a fist to the chest. Ned froze, the paper crinkling in his grip. His first thought was that this had to be a joke. Sarah had always been a prankster, even as a girl. But as his eyes scanned the list, he realized with growing horror that every word was serious. "One, you forgot my 40th birthday last month." The basement workshop. He'd been down there building something, lost track of time completely. God, he'd forgotten. 2, you called Jake, that boy at Thanksgiving, even though we've been married 12 years. 3, you've never once asked about my promotion. The list continued, each item a small cut that collectively carved out a hole in his chest. Ned sank into his chair, reading and rereading, his mind reeling. When had he become this person? When had he stopped seeing his own daughter? 15, you told Mom's nurses more about your day than you've told me in 5 years. That one strung because it was true. During those final months with Martha, he'd talked to anyone who'd listen, except Sarah, who'd sat in that hospital room day after day, silent and somehow separate from him even then. 28, you still have my bedroom exactly as it was when I was 16, like you're waiting for that version of me to come back. Ned set the list down and walked upstairs, his knees protesting each step. He pushed open Sarah's door, unchanged in 24 years, the Backstreet Boys poster, the track and field trophies, the bulletin board still covered with photos of friends whose names he'd never learned. He'd thought he was preserving memories. She thought he was rejecting who she'd become. For 3 days, Ned didn't call. He sat with that list, reading it until he'd memorized every word. On the 4th day, he drove to the hardware store. "Ned, haven't seen you in months," called Tommy from behind the counter. "What brings you in?" "Paint," Ned said. "Lots of paint, and I need you to recommend someone who can haul away furniture." Tommy's eyebrows rose. "You finally selling the house?" "No, I'm finally fixing it." Ned spent that week transforming Sarah's room. He painted the walls a soft gray, sophisticated grown-up. He donated the twin bed and bought a queen with a real headboard. The trophies went into a tasteful display case in the hallway. The posters came down, replaced by a single framed photo of Sarah at her college graduation, beaming in her cap and gown. But the room was just the beginning. He called Jake, actually called him, didn't wait for a family gathering. "I owe you an apology," Ned said without preamble, "about a dozen years' worth." The silence on the other end lasted so long Ned thought the call had dropped. Then, "I'm listening." They talked for 2 hours. Ned learned that Jake played guitar, that he volunteered at a youth center, that he'd grown up in foster care and put himself through community college. Things Ned would have known if he'd ever bothered to ask. "Why now?" Jake finally asked. "Because I got a list that scared me half to death," Ned admitted, "and because I don't want to lose my daughter." Item by item, Ned worked through that list. He couldn't fix everything, couldn't take back the missed recitals from her childhood or the dismissive comments about her career in marketing. "You make advertisements? Well, somebody's got to," but he could start showing up differently. He marked her birthday on 3 different calendars and set 2 phone alarms. He asked her about work, really asked, and listened to her explain brand strategy until he actually started to understand it. He joined the P-Flag chapter in the next town over, because item 22 mentioned how he'd gone silent when she tried to talk about her friend David transitioning. On Sunday mornings, he started calling Sarah just to talk. The first few conversations were stilted, careful, but slowly something shifted. "Dad, you don't have to read marketing books," Sarah said one day, half laughing. I can hear you struggling with the terminology. Well, how else am I going to understand what a conversion funnel is? Ned grumbled. Sounds like something you'd use to pour pancake batter. She laughed, really laughed, and the sound cracked something open in Ned's chest. 3 months after the list, Ned invited Sarah and Jake to dinner. Not a holiday dinner, not a birthday, just dinner. Sarah arrived suspicious, her shoulders tight, but when Ned opened the door, Jake was the one he greeted first. Jake, good to see you. Sarah tells me you're learning piano these days. Jake blinked. Yes sir, been taking lessons for about 6 months. I'd love to hear about it. Come on in, I actually made something besides pot roast for once. Dinner was simple, grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, a salad Jake had mentioned liking in one of their phone calls. Ned had notes in his kitchen to remind himself. Afterward, he led Sarah upstairs. I wanted to show you something. She stopped in the doorway of her old room, her hand flying to her mouth. It's yours whenever you need it, Ned said quietly. The real you, not the version I kept trying to freeze in time. Sarah walked in slowly, touching the new curtains, the bookshelf Ned had installed and filled with novels by authors she'd mentioned. On the nightstand sat a framed photo, Sarah and Martha from 2 years before the cancer, both of them laughing at some long-forgotten joke. Dad, her voice broke. I'm sorry, Ned said. The words felt inadequate, too small for everything they needed to carry. I'm sorry I made you invisible. I'm sorry I held onto the wrong things and let go of the right ones. I'm sorry I made you write a list to get me to see you. Sarah turned, tears streaming down her face. You kept it, the list. In my wallet, Ned pulled out the worn, refolded paper. I look at it every day, reminds me to do better. God, Dad. She crossed the room and hugged him, really hugged him, not the stiff, obligatory embraces of recent years. You didn't have to do all this. Yes, Ned said firmly, hugging her back. I did, and I'm still working on it. I've only addressed maybe 20 of the 30, but I'm trying. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. Which ones are you still working on? Ned smiled ruefully. Well, number 7, you never say you're proud of me. I'm working up to that one. Turns out I'm not great with words. You just built me an entire room. That's different. I'm better with hammers than feelings. He took a breath. But I'm proud of you, Sarah. So damn proud. You're smart and successful and kind, and you picked a good man who makes you happy. I should have said that years ago. Sarah dissolved into tears again, and Ned held his daughter while she cried, feeling like maybe, just maybe, he was finally being the father she deserved. That night, after Sarah and Jake left, Ned sat in his living room with the list. He pulled out a pen and carefully checked off 3 more items, 23 down, 7 to go. Number 30 caught his eye. You never told me what Mom said about me before she died. Ned's throat tightened. Martha's last lucid day, she'd gripped his hand with surprising strength. Tell Sarah she was the best thing we ever made. Tell her I see her, Ned. Even if you don't always, I see her, and I'm so proud. He'd never delivered the message. It hurt too much, made Martha's absence too real. Ned picked up his phone and called his daughter. Dad, is everything okay? Your mother wanted me to tell you something, he began, and finally, he found the words.